The Coonhound Collective podcast is brought to you by CZ Welding and Custom Dog Boxes. Dog boxes built by hunters for hunters. Check these guys out today. This is your host, Jason Snellgrove, and I will be your guide as we journey down the road to pleasure hunt or hitting the long trail to those great comp hunts. This is the Coonhound Collective podcast. Welcome to the Coonhound Collective podcast today. Today is a special guest to me for sure, as I head way over to West Virginia to interview Mr. Wesley Good. Mr. Wesley, how's it going today?
It's going good, thank you, Jason. I appreciate you inviting me to be on here.
Well, a lot of people don't know this. Some people know the story, some people don't. How we met, and honestly, if it wasn't for you, we probably wouldn't be doing this podcast today. I probably wouldn't even be coon hunting today if it wasn't for you. You're probably a big reason this is even going on. So, I greatly appreciate your friendship and the times that I got to know you for sure. But won't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of where you're from, and where you were born and stuff.
Well, I was born and raised around Ripley, West Virginia. I was actually born in Charleston, which is only 29 miles away. Born in 1959, so I'm 63 years old. I turned 63 there the first part of June, and my daddy was a coon hunter. He had coon hunted since he was a little boy, with a lantern and everything, whatever he could find, with an old shepherd or anything. And it didn't matter if it hold a possum or what. You know, he always thought he had a coon back in underneath a rock or something and dig all night and pull a possum out, but he'd still sell the hide. So I was about 7 years old whenever I started going every time Daddy went. So Dad would hunt anything that would tree a coon. It didn't matter what color it was, or whether it was a coon dog or squirrel dog. We've shot coons out to Norwegians and everything else. Dad he was a coon hunter, but it seemed like we always come back around to the Plott dogs. They was the ones that we preferred as a rule. We've had a couple nice dogs in other breeds, but all in all, we always come back to the Plott dog, and I like the Plott dog. The one I really got hooked on was a dog we called Ellie, or Ellie Mae, and she was a coon tree and piece of machinery. And she was born about the time I was, I don't know, I think 9 years old or something like that, and about the time just before I got my driver's license, we lost her. But she was hard to crowd, and she was a black brindle trim female, and I've kind of been the Plott guy ever since. Then, that was my favorite dog, and still pretty much. She goes a long ways towards the measuring stick. I've had some dogs since then. The Angel Ridge Redwood Dixie dog, for sure, is a measuring stick to me. She was 2011 National Grand Night champion. But anyway, I grew up right there around Ripley, and went to Ripley High School, went into the operating engineers apprenticeship program there, Local 132, and worked around all over, working construction, mostly in the state of West Virginia, and coon hunted all I could. And then back about 2000, I got rid of all my dogs because I just worked so much, and I just hunted with Dad for about 20 years there. And right about 1999, actually, I bought a farm where I could let dogs run loose, and really didn't mean to get back into it like I did. And Dad brought a pup over, wasn't papered, and Gail fell in love with it and said, "You ain't never going to get rid of that, are you?" And I said, "No, that one's yours. I'm going to go get me a registered one." And Katie barred the door. It's been wide open ever since, one of these old Plott dogs. And working all over the country is kind of how me and you met, ain't it?
Yeah, that's it for sure. I think it would have been in 2013 or 14 along there. I believe it was. I was working in Illinois, kind of south central Illinois, and we were staying in a campground. And I can still hear Tina today whenever that truck pulled in that campground with that dog box. She said, "Oh Lord." She knew they was friends already been made before we ever started talking.
Yeah.
And yeah, you come in the campground there with that dog box, and that just it's one of those sports that even the times that I was out of it, you still you get that first cool snap in the fall, and for me, all those memories of coon hunting and being out with the dogs and stuff like that would rush back in, and boy, it'd make you want to have the itch to have one, and I just wasn't ever in a place to have one after I moved here until we kind of got settled where we're at now. But yeah, that's how we met. Was I guess you was working shutdown or something there at Robinson.
Actually, they was doing digging a underground storage facility,
Yeah,
cavern for butane and propane, and I was running a hoist on that job for Tyson Mining.
yeah, yeah, and yeah. And so whenever we talked and you said you had plot dogs, so this has been my experience with plot dogs, and it's just ignorance because I haven't been around very many plot dogs. When I lived in Alabama, the plot dogs that I had been around were strictly hog dogs. That's all they were used for. Nobody coon hunted with them. Everybody told me, and it was just told me. I didn't know this from experience that they were too rough to coon hunt with and stuff like that. So whenever we met and you told me that you coon hunted plot dogs, I thought, man, I've heard those are rough dogs. But um, boy, what's some good times I had in cornfields in Illinois uh, with old Zeb and Shucks there. So I definitely my mind has been changed for sure.
Well, yeah, and he helped me out a lot too. I was in one of them situations where I was working a 20-day rotation, and there's going to be more days I couldn't hunt than there was that I could. So you and I kind of, you know, got hooked up. And I said, well, we'll just make this worth Jason's while a little bit. And said, here, you need this dog box. And I don't know. I appreciated what you done for me. So uh, I didn't care a bit to let you use my dog box and my stuff to get you back out there. Sort of like a drug dealer. Give you enough or loan you enough to get you hooked again.
Well, I think Tina, she's not here, but if she was here, she would say, "Oh, he's hooked. Thank you very much, Mr. Wesley. He's hooked."
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Shucks was 8, 9 months old.
Yep.
And really, as far as I can remember, he probably treated his first solo coon for you, didn't he?
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, that night I turned Zeb and Shucks loose, and Zeb goes to the right down there in trees on a little piece of property I have permission on, and I go down there and Shucks is not there, and I thought, where is this dog? And so we get Zeb, we get back up to the truck, and look on the tracker, and he's out. And of course, you remember there's big cornfields over there, and there was a big pasture there, and he's out in the middle of this pasture, and he's barking every breath, and I'm thinking, what is wrong with this dog? This ain't even the right direction. There's a cornfield right here, and I can see coons sitting up, and so I pull up there to the curve in the road, and Tina said, "What are you going to do?" And I said, "Well, I got to go out here and see what he's doing. He ain't going to come to me." So I start out there across that old pasture hayfield thing, where them old oil wells were, and I can see this big oak tree out there in the middle, but I'm kind of looking where I'm stepping and shining up at the oak tree as I'm walking, and I'm calling his name, and because I'm thinking, we ain't even supposed to be here. We need to be back over on the other side. And about time I got probably 40 yards from that tree, I just happened to look up, and there was a coon. And I'm going to tell you what, it didn't matter if we were supposed to be there or not. I got him in there. We got on that tree, and I petted him up, and he was my buddy after that. And yeah, I enjoyed hunting him. I really like him. He's a good looking dog, good looking hound, and uh, bigger dog like I like to hunt. And he just and he was young, but he was really coming on. And speaking of that, now last year, or I guess this year, whatever how you want to call it,
Last year's PKC championship, yeah.
yeah, breed champion Shucks won the whole thing. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
I tell you what, I mean I didn't have a whole lot to do in his life other than just trying to help you out with him. But when I looked on Facebook and seen that y'all had won that was a one happy moment for me as well as I'm sure it was for you. Hey guys, this is Jason over at the Coonhound Collective podcast. Is your dog box starting to get wore? Maybe it's starting to get a little cracked like mine is. Maybe you've just been thinking about it's time to upgrade to a new box, but you've asked your buddies and you're just not real sure what direction to go in. Well, let me help you out here. Go check my friends out at CZ Welding and Fabrication, custom dog boxes and aluminum products on Facebook. You can check out all their custom work they do there and their designs that they do. If you don't see something that you don't exactly like there, reach out to Nathan at 540-810-5439, 540-810-5439, or send him a message through the Facebook page. I bet he can fix you up. Don't wait till fall to get that new dog box. Go ahead, get that dog box now. Get you something looking good in the back of your truck that you can be proud of and that you can haul your dog around in comfort. Check my friends out at CZ Welding and Fabrication. You won't go wrong. Dog boxes built by hunters for hunters. Get yours today. CZ Welding and Fabrication.
No, I appreciate that. You know, Shucks is just Shucks. That's what I tell everybody. He's got a pretty cold nose, and he takes whatever track he comes to. And sometimes he aggravates me working these cold tracks a little bit. And he really is determined to have his coon. And, you know, the competition thing, you like it fast and furious and all this and all that. And sometimes you just have to wait on Shucks a little bit. But he will keep you in the cast. I'm not going to tell you that he's won every cast, but he's won about, 50% or so of his cast, whether it be PKC or UKC. I really need to take time and finish him on out to Grand. He's a night champion with 2 wins towards Grand. He's got between $1,500 and $1,600, I think, PKC money on him. And he's sitting in the pen, wanting for somebody to take him hunting right now because I'm working, and then I've got all these young dogs. But he's a dog that you've got to be patient with to call, and you got to listen to him. But he always keeps you in the mix. He's an honest first, second strike dog, and he's a stay put tree dog. When he sits down there, I'm not going to tell you he's a one bark tree dog, but when he sits down there and dedicates, he's going to stay there. And more times than not, you're going to see the eyes looking down at you. He's lost a little bit of his mouth. It's hard to believe, but Shucks will be 8 in October.
Yeah, it's hard when I sit here and I was thinking about this after me and you've talked, on the phone, and we talked about doing this, and I got to thinking about, what year was that, and I'm thinking, oh my God, that's been almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It just don't seem like it's been that long.
It was actually we met in June of 2015.
Okay.
My mother passed away in March of 2015. That's how I know it was 2015. And I started for Tyson out there on my birthday, which is June 3rd.
Okay.
So I kind of know. Now, I don't know if we met that day or not, shortly thereafter.
Yeah,
You know, well, or right before that one, I guess I was moving in. I started work for him on the 3rd.
yeah, yeah. It was somewhere right around there. I couldn't remember the year for sure. I couldn't remember if it was 13, 14, 15. I knew it was right along in there somewhere. And uh, time flies, I guess, when you're having fun.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, see, Shucks is a October 14 model,
Okay.
so that puts him right at the 8, 9 month thing and all that. You know, wherever how old he was.
While we're
But he's,
while we're
I
talking about
told
it,
you,
what's he out of, Mr. Wesley?
he's out of Pretty Boy Poacher and a female. The female is off of Z-Bar or Amy's Revenge. By Amy's Amy's Revenge or Amy's Bayou Revenge. The Z-Bar dog, and they bred her to Alan Gilstrap's Carolina Roxy female, and that produced a female by the name of Pearl that Kevin Moses had down there. And I had dealt around, and I raised Pretty Boy Poacher. He was out of my Angel Ridge Redwood Dixie dog, and we made it across to Poacher. And I raised and trained Pretty Boy. I called him Bubby, but, well, his name was actually, registered name was Rocket. But I ended up I was working 7 days a week and 14 hours a day, and he was getting ready to turn 4 years old, and I didn't have nothing but a second on him. I was aggravated because I turned that job down 3 or 4 times, and I was mad at me for working. But anyway, fella called me and made me such and such an offer. You know, he offered me $2,000 for the dog, and I said no, but I'll take $2,500. And he hit me in the hand with the money, so I had to let him go. And then he kept him there about a month or so, and then traded him to Kevin Moses. Kevin hunted him a couple weeks there, pleasure hunting, and put him in 10 casts and granted him out. Of course, that was under the old rules. But Poacher Pretty Boy was a dog that would tree a layup or a hot coon. A little more of a one bark tree dog than Shucks. But Shucks has got a lot of his build. A lot of things about Shucks reminds me a lot of the Pretty Boy dog. Now Shucks is a dog that when you turn him loose, he's going to go hunting. If a pack's with him, that's fine. If a pack ain't with him, that's fine too. With the exception of every now and then, you run across the female or something like that he'll hang with a little bit. But most of the time, he's very consistent about going hunting and getting struck. So I don't know. The Dixie dog hunted a lot straighter and faster, and she hunted with her nose in the air. She was tough. You had to be tough to hunt her and work. But she was a quick, get deep quick and get a coon tree quick. I don't know how many times I've had her be 75/100ths of a mile deep, in less than 5 minutes, treed on a coon when you get there. But it got to the point that I left her in the pen except for on the week. She was my weekend dog. I'd hunt anything and everything else on through the week, but Dixie was just too tough for this fat boy through the week and work.
Well, they build quite a few out there that are that way. Right now that blow in there and get through the country, that get away from you if you ain't careful. That's for sure. So, hey guys, Jason at the Coonhound Collective podcast. Today I'm here to talk to you about a benefit hunt that's coming up. The State of Missouri Coon Hunters Association is holding the annual Shriners Children's Hospital benefit hunt on September the 24th, 2022. This is a UKC sanctioned event. There will be a bench show and a night hunt. There will also be a auction on the grounds at 1 o'clock. For more information on that, you can go to the Shriners Children's Hospital Benefit Stud Dog Auction and more on Facebook and check it out. You can scroll down through there. The winner of the bench show is going to get a CZ custom dog box. The winner of the night hunt is going to get the same custom dog box. There's a dog box up for auction right now over there, and a ton of stud dogs. Really nice dogs. Be a good opportunity to reserve a breeding for one of these dogs. Get your name in there. Stay on top of it. Make sure you win it so you can get a good breeding for that good female that you got out there. And there's a ton more other prizes. There's puppies being given away, some young dogs that are being auctioned, a lot of good things. Coon hunters are coming together for a great cause here. Help us make this hunt a large hunt here in Missouri. Help us raise some money to give to the Shriners Hospital. These guys are excited. They're really on fire here to try to make this hunt big. They're making a push here to make it. So help these guys out to really make this hunt a big hunt. You can reach out to Larry Bourbon if you don't have Facebook, and his phone number is 636-388-5420. 636-388-5420, or you can also reach out to Colton Ingram and his phone number 636-249-3330, 636-249-3330. If you have something that you can auction off, get with these guys. They'll get it posted up on the page and get the auction running. Anything and everything. Doesn't have to be coon hunted related. Get it to them. Let's help these guys raise money for a great cause here. Coon hunters always come together to help other people. This is a great cause to help people. Let's help the State of Missouri Coon Hunter Association send a big check to the Shriners Hospital. Thanks. You mentioned that you shucks have been bred and you got some young puppies on the ground. Are you got plans to breed him some more, or are you gonna just kind of see how these puppies do first, or what's your game plan there?
Well, before I told you I sold Shucks once, and I ended up getting him back, but I had got this Henry dog before I got Shucks back, and Henry has got really a lot of heart. And not saying Shucks don't, but he's got all that drive. And I started on the venture of getting 100 pups on the ground out of Henry, which I'm at 72 now. And really the female that's got the Shucks pups are 5 days old today. And I had Henry and this female at another man's house, and he said, well, we missed her. She went out, and it was after the West Virginia Governor's Cup, as a matter of fact, which we got in the Final Four with Shucks that night. But anyway, I brought it home. I never even thought that night at the hunt to check and make sure she was out and all that. While I looked at her and I thought, well, that dog ain't out. And I threw her in the pen with Shucks. And so now we've got pups on the ground and out of Shucks. But I do intend to breed Shucks. This female that are budding to here, she's out of shock style Ratchet. And Ratchet's mother is a littermate sister to Pretty Boy Poacher. So I let Larry Brown have her, and he bred her to Rooster. And that's where Ratchet come from. And then the Georgia Solid Oak is a female that Jeremy Taylor and them have got. That is a littermate sister to Henry. And so they bred Ratchet and Georgia Solid Oak, and that produced this Bell female, which is a fairly decent female, nice tree dog. And that's the mother to the Shucks pups. So I plan on PKC super staking this litter of pups out of Shucks. And yeah, I'm looking for, I'm looking for some select females to breed Shucks too. I'm not going to tell you I'm going to try to get 100 pups on the ground out of him, because it's just too late. I mean, if it happens, it happens, but I'm really not going to set out on that venture of doing it. When I made that remark with Henry, I had retired from 132, and now I'm back out here double dipping. So, down in North Carolina here. So it's a little bit hard to do and be away from home.
Yeah. Yeah, that definitely makes it tough. So those pups there that you're gonna super stake, are those gonna be available to the public to purchase? Because your phone's probably gonna ring if you say yes here.
Actually, yeah. I am gonna right now there's 7 of them, and I don't even know whether they're males or females, or for brindle or black. They was born. I left Monday evening about 5 o'clock from Charleston, headed down here, and they was born Tuesday. So I've got a young man neighbor hired to take care of my dogs and stuff, and he let me know they was born, and that's what I know. So
yeah,
but yeah, I'm gonna performance them, super stake them, and they will be should be ready to go. 6 weeks old. They will be wormed and vaccinated and all that stuff, and I'll have the vet records there. But I really haven't started booking nothing yet. I mean, I need to get home and look at them, and I'll be going home, leaving from down here and going home next Friday. So it'll be another week before I even see the pups.
Are you tired of whipping, scolding, and shocking to make them get alone? Is your buddy tired of helping you set your dog up for correction night after night? Do you really want your dog to be alone because you forced him to be? Or would you rather him be alone because he wants to be? Grand Night Champion Small Town Lone Survivor is the product of over 25 years of strong natural-born independent traits. This bold trait has been passed down from generation to generation and is showing up in loner offspring today. Loner is a direct son of Hall of Fame Grand Night Champion Cabin Creek Rowdy and Grand Night Champion Lonesome Dove Lori. Loner has a booming mouth that is talked about in every cast he has been in, including the 2021 World Hunt Finals. Loner is a no-reverse, ball-mouth open trailer who ends it plussed up with a huge dying locate and steady chop. Loner loves getting split and is a stay-put gun-pressure tree dog. Loner's intelligence is also impressive. He knows over 12 voice and hand signal commands. Loner has a character that loves like Jesus, but he doesn't walk on water. If you're interested in breeding to Loner, contact Brett Stevens at Small Town English Kennels at 417-300-3777 or find him on Facebook.
If you're interested in running a stud ad for your dog here on the Coonhound Collective podcast, reach out to us at thecoonhoundcollective@gmail.com. Send us a message through Facebook or Instagram, and we'll be glad to get with you to get you an ad built and get you pricing on all of our ads. Yeah. Well, if you're interested in a good Plott hound, good Plott pup out there, you can definitely get a hold of Mr. Wesley, see what he will have available, because I know, like he said, and we talked about earlier, I hunted Shucks, and he's definitely a good dog. Was a good young dog when I was hunting, and obviously has turned into a pretty nice hound to win some of the stuff and getting some of the Final Fours that he's gotten into for sure. One thing I wanted to talk about is, seems like even whenever I was a younger kid living in Alabama, and I'd get the magazine and you'd flip through it, or, now with Facebook or in the internet, whenever somebody wins something, you usually have a few people around, and they, pat you on the back and say say congratulations, you done a good job or whatever. But it seems like forever the Plott guys have really stuck together, and there's a lot of camaraderie in that group. Is there a special bond there between everybody, or what makes that group so tight knit there that they're just pulling for each other?
So few of us.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, I really, I really don't have a good answer to that. I guess part of it is the number of us, but um, the Bloodhound is in general, my way of thinking, they're a good track dog, and I like a track dog. And I like I mentioned earlier, a lot of your competitions, hunters, breeders are breeding to me seems like a hotter nosed dog. Now maybe it's not, but they're breeding a dog that shoots in there fast and trees quick coons. And a lot of the Plott dogs do more trailing. Now I'm not saying I don't like, and Dixie did get it done fast and had an awesome nose. But I like the trackability of the Plott and the loyalty of my dogs. I'm not a guy that a lot of your old timers used to say don't pet your dogs, they won't hunt. And I have petted a few pups to the point that they didn't want to go hunting, and those pups don't get to stay with me, because if I can't pet that dog and it go hunting when I turn it loose, then it's not the dog I need. And that's just the way I look at it, And I guess, there's not a whole lot of us, but we're maybe looking for something just a little bit different. I'm not going to tell you my dog never misses, because I'd be lying to you if that's the case. But I'm in the hills of West Virginia, and I don't really enjoy walking to slick trees. And if I go to walking to 3 or 4 slick trees in a row, or go to walking to 50-60% slick trees, me and that dog's going to part ways. I don't care what color it is. Me and that dog ain't going to hang out. And I don't really have a problem with my Plott hound. They may be a little slower. One thing is the bear breeders, or bear breeding, is a little different than the coonhound breeding, in that they're breeding stamina and nose and grit and all things that we want. But for the most part, it's okay if they pack. And I don't want my dog to pack. I want my dog to, I'm a coon hunter, so I want that independence. And the line of dogs, which is made up out of mostly redwood. I've got some rooster mixed in there, and I've got some poacher mixed in there, and I've got a little bit of bayou mixed in there, but still, the dogs are independent. They'll go hunting by themselves, they'll tree by themselves, and I guess the Plott guys that are coon hunting are they stick together and kind of work together. The only way that you can improve a breed is to breed the best to the best. I mean, and breed into qualities that you're desiring. So as when I was a little boy, when I was, let's say I was a teenager, 19, 20 years old, I didn't notice as much difference in the lines, whether it be a bear bred dog or a coon bred dog. I did, and there's a lot of lines, and the redwood dogs are used on bear and coon, and so is the poacher line, but it seems like those two avenues of breeding are getting further apart to me as I've grown older.
Yeah. Well, and I know there's a lot of guys use those Plott dogs for big game, um, and over there, where you're from there, it's, there's a lot of people use them for coon and in a mix there. But yeah, I just always thought it was fascinating that, no matter what, it just seems like those Plott guys always stick together, and, they're always there to pat each other on the back. There's so much jealousy that can be, even stirred up even worse now with social media the way it is. And, you know, a lot of times people get so hung up and focused on it's got to be a certain color when, you know, the end result here for all of us, I think, is it just needs to have a coon in the tree at the end of it. It don't matter what color the dog is that's doing it, as long as it does it the way you like it, and there's a coon in the tree at the end of it. That's the two most important things, to me anyway, is that color don't really matter.
Right. Well, and it's sort of like, I'm sure you've been around clannish people. When you get in certain parts of West Virginia, you better, if you're a stranger in there, you don't just go up and start stuff with anybody, because while they may be mortal enemies, if they're kinfolk or from the area, you know, if they're native to the area you're in and you're not native, and you do something to one of them, it don't matter if he hates that guy. He's going to come down on you with him. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the way it is with the Plott people. It's sort of like, you know, me and my sisters. You know, I can be pretty hateful with my sister, but don't somebody else bother me. You know what I mean? We're like that with the Plott people's like that. You know, we might fight amongst ourselves a little bit, but don't let no blue tick or English or Walker man start nothing with us.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah.
So to be honest with you, one of my best buddies is a blue tick man. You know, we hunt quite a lot together. He's got some pretty nice blue ticks, and I have seen good dogs in all breeds. You know, it's just kind of your preference.
Yeah, that's for sure. It is, and that's the good thing about this sport. You have a choice. You can go through and kind of pick and choose what you like and what suits you the best, and you can hunt that, and another guy can hunt something else, and everybody can be happy in the middle. So
Right.
that's a good thing about it. Um, what about like I've been through West Virginia. You know, going to work storms and stuff when I used to work for a company I worked for. What's the hunting terrain out there like? Where you're hunting, is it all just mountainous, or do y'all have some rolling hills and lowlands too?
Well, along the High Valley there, well, you kind of have a mixture. Where I live is more what I would call foothills. You know, you go from all of 640 would be the lowest point I know around Jackson County to 1180, something like that in elevation. Um, Now, so our hill's not really as big as the mountains, but I don't have to drive very far. Now, and you know, I live in an area that I can kind of pick and choose and hunt some more rolling ground and more gentle hollows and ridge tops and meadows and stuff, you know, bottoms and stuff like that. But you got some steeps between, and of course logging has, you know, everywhere. So it's getting a little thicker than it used to be. But now, where my dad grew up, is the terrain's a little more vertical, not so much different in elevation. It's just more rock cliffs, more straight up and down between your 2 points, you know. And my dad wouldn't even hunt where he grew up at in the summertime because so many copperheads in there. So, you know, it's I don't have to go very far to get in more mountainous terrain, and I've got to pick and choose to not be in pretty rugged, you know, as far as vertical up and down. But it's all in all, it's not real terrible around Jackson County or Roan, or, you know, like I say, down along the High River. Now you go north along the High River and get up into Wheeling and Moundsville and up and that, and then it's way more vertical and taller. So kind of the further north, and also as you go across West Virginia, the mountains get bigger.
Yeah. Well,
I live in the westernmost portion of West Virginia.
okay. I know, you know, where I'm at now compared to where I was hunting shucks at whenever we met is kind of how you described it. It's rocky. You can be straight up, straight down, pretty quick. Here, there's no road crop to speak of right here around the house. Now I can drive, an hour west of here and an hour north of here and kind of get into more rolling hills and row crops and pastures and stuff. But yeah, it's just, you know, the time I drove through there, it was like, boy, if I had to coon hunt over here, I don't know that I would because I went through some mountains.
Well, and if you want to go to the southern part of West Virginia, down around Mingo County, down to where Johnny Hager is from, he had the Mingo Redwood dogs, and well, I guess he calls his dogs Mingo. I'm not sure, but anyway, you get down in that area, and it's a lot of it steep as a horse's face. Now, some of it steep as a horse's face, but it's got a whole lot longer face down there where he's at. I mean, uh, without a logging road or something like that, you can really get in some pretty rough stuff down there, and it's that way as you go from where he's at and go north and kind of varying east a little bit up through there. We got some pretty good sized mountains across West Virginia, and the littlest thing we got is kind of some foothills. I'm probably in the most gentle part of West Virginia. I'm 20 minutes from the high bridge there at Ravenswood, and can slide across the river into Ohio, where you start having some crops, and things like that, which I used to hunt over around Meigs County and stuff. I've got family over there, and I haven't been over quite a while. But further west you go into Ohio, the more crops you have, and flatter ground and all that. My goodness, Indiana, Illinois, out in there, it's coon heaven. I mean, only reason why I don't own that place is because I ain't got enough money to buy it.
Yeah, I tell you where we were at there in Illinois. I mean, that's good country to get a dog, especially a young dog started. There's a lot of row crop. They have a good coon population. If they had a little bit better kill season, it would make it a little better. But they really do have a good coon population. Good spot to have them there, right there on the Wabash River. Was close by where we were at there, and it just was really good. Probably some of the best coon hunting I've ever been in, even coming from Alabama. Just cause you don't have to fight the snakes and the alligators up there.
Yeah.
So
yeah. It was pretty sweet, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. There's many times I wish I still was close enough I could drive over and turn a dog loose over there. The walking was easier and the coons were thicker.
Actually, Tony Geyer called me today.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was working. I really couldn't talk to him. I was running the dozer, and so we said a few words, and I had trucks piling up around me, so I had to get off the phone and get busy. They was paying me, I really didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was kind of coincidental. But yeah, he called me. One of the nights, not long after you had come back and reported to me that Shucks Treaty's first one out there, I went in behind the campground there, and all about midway down through there, you had that year there was a bean field, and then an east-west little piece of where an old fence had been, a row of trees, and then a cornfield. And Shucks got out in them beans. Well, I put him in the corn, and he hit a tree, and then he went out in the beans. And anyway, he was a gone. Well, it was just so many tracks that he was confused. But I shined my light. I got out about 50 yards up along that corn bean field of mine, and I thought, well, I just wonder. And I shined my light at that. 100 yards of trees in that old east-west fence. There was 8 coons. Look, that's the ones that was eyeballing me. You know, 8 coons are setting up between that bean field and that cornfield.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
there's been several times where me and the kids and Tina took Shucks or Zeb or both of them out, and I had permission to hunt on that little piece of ground over by the river there, and you get the dogs turned loose and turn around and shine out across the field and hit that wood line over there on the other side of that corn, and they'd just be eyeballs everywhere. And I mean, this is just something that I haven't seen like that in a long, long time for sure.
Yeah. I went there last Thanksgiving. Carl Ratliff, he's a Plott fellow from down in Tennessee. He's about an hour and a half south and west of Nashville there. And we went out to the southern part of Illinois where Pete Bentley, he's another Plott fellow that passed away a couple, 3 years ago. But we went out and stayed in Pete's house and hunted 7 nights out there. We tried to limit ourselves to 4 coons. So there was a couple nights we done killed 4 and back to the house by 9:30. We had one really bad night. It took us to 11:30 before we got back to the house. We killed 4. There's a couple nights that dogs got split on the last drop, and we ended up killing 5. I forget, I think it's 27 coons or something. I don't even know how many we killed, but I know we got our quota for 4 every night.
Yeah, well, I would say that's pretty easy to do over there for sure. They got the coons. That was something here. You know, when we bought this place and moved in, we had coons pretty thick here, and I mean, I'd go out in the evening and you could shine them down on my pond, and we had distemper or something come through and it killed a bunch of them off, and we our population seems like it's coming back. I'm starting to see some tracks. I'm still not seeing coons on the pond, but yeah, we got this place and it had the Farron house, and Tina said, "Well, I reckon you're gonna make that your coon dog pen," and I said, "You got that right with this many coons." And then next thing, and then I didn't even get a chance to thin them out before the distemper or something got them. So
Yeah.
I was kind of bummed about that, but that's all right. They're coming back, and I got enough that I can work on a dog here or there with for sure. I know we had talked a couple weeks back, and we always end this with a coon hunting story, and you had something there you was wanting to share with us. Won't you go ahead and share that story with us?
Yeah, this was right after I finished up that job out there. Cameron Miller is a young man that he rode a 4-wheeler up to my house. He lives down the road below, about a half a mile from where I built. And I went to school ahead of his mother, and kind of knew her. But Cameron, you know, he's a kid. I'd seen him, but I really didn't know him or whatever. But he rides his 4-wheeler up there in the driveway one day. He said, "You're Wesley, aren't you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he tells me who he was. And he was 13 going on 14, you know. He said, "Well, you take me coon hunting." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll take you coon hunting. I'll take you coon hunting anytime you want to go. And or every time I go." He said, "Well, you just call me, you know." And so that started a thing. And so we he hunted just almost every night I went, you know. He would go, even if it was a school night. His mom would say, "Try to have him home by midnight," you know. Well, most of the time we did. We didn't always. But he started hunting with me, and we got him a Plott dog, of course, and this and that. But he and I and another gentleman was out hunting one night, and we got in, come around to the tailwaters of one of the, around home there, they built some watershed dams and, flooded several acres and made some public hunting areas out there. And so we got back in one of the contributaries of that. You're back in the tailwaters, and a bunch of rock cliffs and this and that. And season was pretty cold that night. And the other gentleman was hunting a Walker female, and she got treed up there. And we got up there, and she had a coon. And there wasn't one of us really looked below her. The tree was kind of on a flat place, just off of what had been a road at one time. And, so you got this road bed that's starting, grow up in weeds or whatever. And he shot that coon out, and it bounced one time and hit down in that lake right over a cliff. Well, then there was a fallen log that went almost across that contributary there, but you're looking 50 feet wide or something like that, and it was deep. Well, them dogs get down in there, and that coon wasn't hurt very bad. And they're fighting. Cameron had a young Plott male by the name of Ripley, and I don't know what the Walker female was, and I don't know if you remember Marley or not, but I was hunting Marley that night. And I've kind of preached to you about come here, how I feel about whenever I tell a dog to come to me, I want it to come to me. But these dogs got in there fighting that coon, and Cameron, before I knew it, slid down that log. That fellow with the walker was hollering, "Oh, my dog's gonna drown, my dog's gonna drown," And Cameron slides down that log. I'm talking about hunting boots, chaps, his vest, belt light, and all. Right down that log he goes, and he's trying to grab that dog by the collar. I guess he's going to put a lead strap on it or something and try to drag it back up. I don't know what his plan was, but the first thing I know, that boy's in the water. Oh, he's down there treading water in full hunting gear. And I'm thinking, my God, how, so I'm watching him, and he's staying pretty good. He was over on one side, and he was getting on. He wasn't having to tread water really so much. He was getting on something. Now, this is a bunch of trash and stuff that just floated back in. You know how the end of them contributaries will do. They'll fill up with all kinds of garbage or whatever. And Ripley ended up killing the coon in the water. The female the walker swam around there so much, she was about to get under, and Cameron was trying to get a hold of her. And I thought, well, that boy's light ain't going to burn in 30 seconds, And I finally walked away. I'm thinking, I'm saying a little prayer. I'm like, how in the world? I can't let this boy drown. I don't know how in the world I'm going to get in there and get him out. And I don't want to try to explain to his parents how I let him drown. Actually, his mother had passed away before that, but his dad, And I walked down the high wall there just a little bit, and I called Marley to me. Called her across the water and everything. And I kept trying to, before he went down that log, I told him, I said, well, let's go down here and call them dogs. Well, we ended up, I had a rope with me, and we ended up, the walker dog got over close enough, and that guy under managed to get tied off with a lead strap and get down and get my rope around her neck and drag her up out of there. And then Cameron got a lead strap on Ripley and hung him off that log and drug him up out. He finally got back up on the log and drug him up out of there. So the story all ended well, but before it ended, I was praying that the Lord help him get up out of there. And I've coon hunted all my life, and that's the first time I've been in fear of somebody I'm hunting with passed away while we're hunting over accident or a stupid move or whatever you want to call it. So I can't stress enough how the Lord's blessed me how important it is to be in relations with him, and how important it is for that dog to mind whenever you say, come here. You know, my dogs, a lot of people won't do it, but the way I work and stuff, if my dog's treated in there and it's time to come, now I won't do it to a young dog, but an older dog, when I say come here, I mean for it to come here. If I've got to bump it off that 3-foot shocking collar to get it to come to me, that's what's going to happen. Because come here means everything in some, you know, if those dogs would have handled, Cameron would have never been in danger of getting grounded, which if I'd have known he was going down there, we'd have never been in danger anyway. He done slid down that log before I knowed it, you know. So that was the story I was talking about, and how important the Lord and a dog that handles well is.
Yeah, and I agree. That's one of my pet peeves is I got to have one that's got enough head sense that it listens to what I'm saying, and that's one of the things that I like about this English female I have is she's got a lot of head sense. She's not ever gonna win a world championship, but for me, she hunts the way I like for her to hunt, and if I say come here, she's coming. We had RQE here, and the fellow we was hunting with said, how you gonna get, the hunt was over and she was over 1,000 yards in there, and he said, well, how you gonna get your dog? I said, I'm just gonna call her. And you know, and that's important to me, to be able to get one to come to you. That's one thing I can't hardly stand is not having one that won't come to you when you call, or won't listen to you and just off doing its own thing. And that right there just shows the importance of needing to have some sort of handle on your dog, so you don't have to put your life or it ends up putting somebody else's life in jeopardy.
Right. And also I had it cost me I was hunting a dog by the name of Magnum, and I hadn't had him very long, and he wasn't a come here dog, and I had to cast one. Would have been a first place win. Way it turned out would have been a first place win, but the dog wouldn't handle. A buddy of mine was going to take the card back to the club. He chose another. Of course, we was running late, and the guide stayed out there with me to get this dog that wouldn't handle. And my buddy was 5 minutes late getting my first place win back to the club, which would have made my dog a night champion. That's all he needed was a first place win. And the dog never did get night championed out. You know, I let him go not long after that. But he never did make night champion because of not handling one night. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Wesley, we've been at it for right at an hour, and I know me and I know you. We could probably talk for another 2 or 3 hours when it comes to talking dogs, but I know you work today, and I don't want to hold up your time. And I just had a house full of people show up, so it's probably going to get loud in the background for too much longer anyway. But I do want to thank you, and honestly, if it wasn't for you, I don't know that I'd be coon hunting today, and I wouldn't be doing this podcast either. And I appreciate the opportunity you give me to be able to handle your dogs and have a little part in getting Shucks going there. And that, you know, when I seen y'all's picture and on Facebook and on Prohound this past winter, you know, that was a happy moment. You look there and you think you had something in with that dog when he was a young dog, you know, 8 or 10 months old there. So I was very happy for y'all.
Well, I definitely want to thank you. I'll tell you that I appreciate you inviting me to come on here. It's really been good talking to you. I want to thank you for you know, you had a pretty good influence on Shucks. You hunted him a lot of nights that I couldn't have hunted him, you know, when he was young and needed it. So yeah, you had a big influence on putting Shucks in the woods, you know, and giving him that opportunity. Also want to thank Adam Shepard for handling him out there at the PKC Plott Championship. But I really have enjoyed talking to you, and just want to thank you for inviting me to be on here, Jason.
Yeah, we'll get together and do it again, and make sure you tell Miss Gail we said hello, and we love her, and maybe sometime here in the near future, before we get 10 or 15 years down the road, we can all get together and meet up, and either we come out there, y'all come this way, we can at least see y'all sometime.
Well, yeah, we'll eat a hot dog and a hamburger and tree coon.
That'd be fine with me.
All right.
All right.
We'll talk to you later, David.
Thank you, Mr. Wesley.
Yep, thank you. Bye.
All right. That was Mr. Wesley Good with the Angel Ridge Plotts. If you look up on Facebook, you can kind of see there, and I really appreciate him taking the time to be on the Coonhound Collective podcast today, and appreciate you taking your time listening to the podcast today, and I hope you really enjoyed it as much as I did. Thanks, guys, for listening to the Coonhound Collective podcast today. We really appreciate you taking your time out of your day to listen to the podcast. If you don't mind, head over to Facebook and give us a like, and head over to Instagram and give us a follow. It's both at the Coonhound Collective. Also, if you would like to reach us here at the Coonhound Collective, you can reach us at thecoonhoundcollective@gmail.com. If there's someone that you would like to hear on the podcast, or a product that you would like to hear talked about, please send it to thecoonhoundcollective@gmail.com. Thanks again. Have a great day.